Hello there. I fucking forgot to think of a wacky intro for this episode, so I'm just gonna say nothing. That's your intro. Fuck you. Anyway, welcome to DeRailed Podcast, episode 15. That's right, I did one in between the one with you and Chris. I said in the episode with Chris, it was going to be, the next episode was going to be the second half of the Stupidsmashbros channel, which is Olivia, who's with me today.
There you go.
And then I fucked up and did an episode in between. But Olivia, thank you for coming on. How about you introduce yourself?
Hey guys, it's me, Olivia. I'm also known as the Archivist occasionally on our channel, and thanks for having me on. This is exciting stuff.
Yeah, this is going to be a really riveting conversation. We're going to be talking about some stop motion films.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to. What made me think about this one is like a few years ago, you had me. You and Chris had me on your podcast. I think it was back then. It was called Real Talk.
Yeah, I think so.
And at one point we were just talking about our favorite animated movies. And I think me and you both brought up really being a fan of Mary and Max, and I was just like, I think we talked about stop motion, but I'm like, okay, let's extend that conversation. Because honestly, Mary and Max, I've only spoken to a few people who've actually seen it, so I was interested in that actually was one that you happened to see too. I really love that one. That one already has had its own podcast episode, but I'll definitely be down to talk about that one.
Oh yeah.
But what's your overall opinion on stop motion?
I have a very high regard for stop motion, mostly because it takes so much more work than I think a lot of people are prepared to give.
Yeah.
I know I certainly would not be, so I have high respect for it. I'm really kind of sad because now that we have a lot of things rely on CG animation. I feel like stop motion is kind of readily like a dying thing. So I'm hoping that's not the case though. I'm really not.
I think it takes like someone with a lot of passion to keep it alive, but I feel like we get a little bit of stop motion, maybe at least once a year. Was there anything stop motion this year?
Nothing this year. I think the last stop motion, or at least stop motion style film that I'm aware of was Isle of Dogs. But
There was Isle of Dogs, and there was another one that came out, I think it was last year, by the people who do the Wallace and Gromit shorts.
Oh, yeah.
They had a movie, too.
Yeah, it wasn't the Caveman one, was it?
It might have been the Caveman one. It could have also... Was there, like, a sports one?
Because I know there was... you know what? I don't know. I know that they did Shaun the Sheep, and then their next big release was supposed to be this one about a caveman, you know?
Mm-hmm. I thought that maybe came out. I've honestly never really been into those. I have respect for them, especially stuff like Shaun the Sheep that's able to tell a story without dialogue. I think that's interesting, but I never really liked Wallace and Gromit as a kid.
I actually used to be afraid of it.
Were you really?
Yeah, it was just, I was a very sensitive child, and I saw the three shorts. And the one, have you seen, like, for reference, have you seen, like, some of the shorts, like, they've done with Wallace and Gromit? Like, especially, the one I'm thinking of is the one with the sheep shearing. I
have seen them. Finish your thought before I say anything about that, but I don't know about the sheep shearing one. I have seen shorts, though.
Okay, well, it's this one where it's this, Wallace falls, kind of has this thing for this nice lady who runs a wool shop. And there's a mysterious entity going around shearing all the sheep, and it turns out it's her dog, who's really a robot.
Oh, wow.
And,
interesting.
Yeah, it was like her dad was an inventor, and he built this robot to keep her company and to, like, protect her. But it's kind of programming starts getting screwy. So, yeah, I saw that and I was just terrified of this robot dog. I was also afraid of Gumby for a very similar reason for a while.
Yeah, what did Gumby do? Wasn't Gumby like that green guy?
Yeah, the weird green, like, I don't even know what he is. He's just like a green bandy man of some kind, you know? Well, the only memory I really have of watching Gumby as a child is this thing where apparently there was like a dog or some kind of other creature on the show could cry pearls. So these dudes built a robot of it and then swapped them so that they could benefit from this animal that could cry pearls. And then when they gave it a bath, just the robotic exoskeleton was underneath. Like when Gumby and his friends gave what they thought was their pet a bath, it turned into a robot. And I was like, whoa, that just, yeah, again with the robots. Somehow I love stop motion, but it always finds the way to freak me the hell out when I was a kid, at least.
Isle of Dogs also had a robot dog in it. It's interesting. Robot dogs and stop motion, recurring theme for sure.
That is so weird.
I as a kid, like, okay, so I do like stop motion now. As a kid, I didn't, and I feel like my reason, I Wallace and Gromit, I understand a lot of people love those, and I can't really knock it, because my whole thing with Wallace and Gromit is I thought it was like really dry humor, and as a kid I could not get into it.
Yeah, that's no fun
at all.
Yeah.
I think, like, again, like, so many people I talked to loved Wallace and Gromit, so I really do think it's just me. I also saw Chicken Run in theaters when I was a kid, and it was, like, I think the only, like, movie I saw as a kid where I wanted to leave the theater. I was not enjoying myself at all, but again, like, I kind of grew up with this weird bias against stop motion because of that, and I know people really like those movies, so I think it was just, like, I don't know, probably was, like, the humor was probably too clever for me. I probably wanted something stupid. I probably wanted characters shouting. There is, like, a very calm nature to those. What's the production, like, what's the team that makes those movies? Because I know the Wallace and Gromit is also Chicken Run, it's also Shaun the Sheep, and etc.
It's Aardman Productions, I think.
Yeah. I saw Wallace and Gromit as a kid on TV. I never saw any of the movies. I know about the Were Rabbit movie, but I've never actually seen the whole thing. I remember seeing one where they go to, like, the moon, and the moon's made of cheese or something like that.
Yeah, that one's a classic.
Yeah, like, it was on all night one night when I was, like, at my grandparents'.
Oh my god.
And I didn't know where the remote was, and I couldn't change the channel. I was just watching it the whole night, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it, but and I'm almost curious now if I, like, missed out on something, because, again, like, I've never heard a negative opinion on fucking Wallace and Gromit. People love it. I forget which one it was. I think it was Fantastic Mr. Fox, like, years later, was, like, me giving stop motion another chance, because I never would watch Tim Burton stuff either. I made up my mind as a kid, like, okay, I don't like stop motion. I didn't like this one movie, so that means all stop motion's bad. But
oh my god,
Fantastic
I do that all the time.
Yeah, like, Fantastic Mr. Fox was the one that really turned it around for me. And what I was actually going to say this too, based on what you said about stop motion nowadays, like, yeah, like, going a little bit back, like, I do think there's some people passionate enough, like you mentioned Isle of Dogs, and that was like, yeah, we probably don't get as many stop motion films, but that was a really, really well made one. Well, did you see Isle of Dogs?
No, unfortunately I did not. I wanted to very badly, but I never ended up seeing it.
Yeah. I did see it. I really enjoyed it. I saw it while it was still in theaters. Unfortunately, there's this fucking like, there's a bunch of different auditoriums in our theater, and there's one with a really thin wall. And when I went to see Isle of Dogs, there was added explosion sound effects to the movies because the theater right next to ours. So that was lovely. That's another fucking episode. That was another movie that got its own episode. Forgot about that one. But I really liked that one.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I really, really liked Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Same.
Yeah, so I was really excited when I heard about Isle of Dogs, and I love the premise. But it's just, like, I think at the time, I literally just quit working at the movie theater where I was working, and that was a movie I was, like, gonna go back and, like, to there and, like, see, but it was also, like, just kind of super awkward when I left. Mm-hmm. So I didn't end up going back.
I hear ya.
Oh my god.
But I mean, it would still be, I think it's still just definitely check it out when you can. It was definitely worth watching. What would you say your favorite stop motion film of all time is?
Oh, my favorite stop motion film of all time is probably James and the Giant Peach.
I do actually know that one. I did see that one as a kid. I said I didn't like stop motion as a kid. I did like that movie as a kid. Granted, it was back and forth between live action and stop motion.
Yeah, I know. But I love I understand. Actually, it's funny. That was another one. Like, when I was really small, like, that and Nightmare Before Christmas were, like, my favorite movies. And then one day it was like someone flipped a switch, and I was terrified of them. I couldn't go near them.
Oh, wow.
And then, yeah, I don't know what happened. And then I finally got over it, and I started watching. So now I love James and the Giant Peach, like absolutely love it. But I still can't bring myself to watch Nightmare Before Christmas to this day.
Funny enough, I've honestly never seen Nightmare Before Christmas. It's one of those, like, you say that and people's eyes just, like, widen up. But I've seen bits and pieces of it. I've never been interested enough in, like, finishing it, though. I don't know. I mean, I guess, like, probably this Christmas I'll just sit for the whole thing because it's, like, apparently a big classic I'm missing out on. But yeah, like, you were, like, a little creeped out by it as a kid and still haven't gotten to watching it?
Yeah, like, I think I tried again when I was, like, 13. Like, I tried again to watch it. And, like, now, like, I'm okay. Like, I used to be, like, just, like, scared. Like, I get nervous around, like, just, like, seeing, like, Jack Skellington's, you know, like, just that. And then it became like this thing where eventually I was like, so now I love like so much about it, and I've pretty much seen the movie again. I've just only in chunks, so I've never like seen the whole thing.
What about any of the other Tim Burton? I mean, how many of those stop motion movies did he actually make? Like, is he responsible for like Frankenweenie or the one with the bride, or was that just like the same animation team?
I think he's definitely was responsible for Corpse Bride. I can't speak for Frankenweenie. I think that was him, but I'm not positive. Fun fact about both Nightmare Before Christmas and James and the Giant Peach. If you watch, like, how long ago? It was a while ago when you saw James and the Giant Peach, right?
It has been quite a long time, yeah.
Do you remember the pirate ship scene?
Not really. No, that's not ringing a bell.
Okay, where there's this scene where they need a compass. So a couple of the centipede, the spider, and James go underwater to find one on the sunken ship. Mm-hmm. And they find a pirate ship of skeletons. And one of the skeletons is Jack Skellington.
Oh, you know what? I think that's really funny that you bring that up. I actually do think I've heard of that cameo appearance. That's interesting. Was that just them reusing a model, or was this before the Nightmare Before Christmas?
This was actually... I looked into it. I think it was actually before Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't know how... Because it was done by a different... Everyone thinks it's the same, but the only thing that was the same, like, about the two of them was the studio. Mm-hmm. They were both owned, at the time, by Touchstone. James and the Giant Peach was directed by Henry Selick. So I have no idea how the Jack, or as I'm going to call him, Captain Jack, ended up being either being reused as a model for Jack Skellington, or if Tim Burton just had the idea, or if Henry Selick was ripped off the idea. I don't know what happened there.
Maybe it was just like, all right, I've got a fan theory right now on how these movies are connected.
All right, let's hear it.
So both The Nightmare Before Christmas and James and the Giant Peach are just two stories based off the imagination of two brothers playing with their toys. But then the one playing with the James and the Giant Peach toys just stole one of his brother's toys for a little bit. That's the backstory. I'm going to say that's the backstory.
Yes. I love it.
I
love it. It's a beautiful theory.
Fucking James and the Giant Peach. I'm thinking about that now. Okay, I'm going to... you're the James and the Giant Peach expert here, right?
I guess as good as it gets.
in comparison to me, at least. I'm going to try to remember each of those characters. Okay, so I know that there's like... tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong, basically.
Okay.
I know there's a grasshopper, and he's like really elegant. He has like... he's wearing a nice suit.
Yep, you got that.
There's like a spider, and she's like a little gothic, right? Like she has like one of those artist hats or something, whatever they're called.
Yeah, the little beret.
Yeah, I think there's that one. I do remember the centipede. He's kind of like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like what to compare him to. He also has a hat.
Yes.
He is almost like, if I had to like picture him somewhere, I'd like picture him on a farm or something, or I don't know if that's right, actually. I don't know if farm's right.
It's got, I can see it, but he's there is a centipede, and he is wearing a hat. He's kind of...
Is he more of like a city boy?
Yeah, exactly. Or he fancies himself as one. Yeah.
Okay, so I said the opposite of that for a second, but yeah, no, I kind of remember like some sort of accent with him.
Yeah.
There's one that's like really ringing a bell right now. That has like a really high pitched voice.
Okay.
Was there a ladybug?
There
There
is a ladybug, yes.
And was she kind of like an old woman?
Yeah, like she's kind of like the fussy, like motherly type, so I could see that, you know.
But more of like a mother type, not like a really old woman.
Yeah, although you kind of, I think to me it sounds like you combine two characters because there's a glowworm. She's not really like an active character in the story, but she's there, and she's like supposed to be really ancient.
Doesn't she?
You know.
Does she have a line in one of the songs?
Yes. Oh yeah, the glowworm will pipe up every once in a while. You'll get her.
Okay. I think I remember, and she's like really old, but the ladybug is more of like a mother, you said? Mother figure?
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta look up the fucking ladybug now, because now I'm not remembering that character at all. I mixed her up with the old lady. Okay, Jim's and the Giant Peach. I'm gonna look up that freaking ladybug. Is there anyone else? Is that all the characters?
There's one there's one more. There's one more bug.
One more bug. Shoot. Looking this shit up now. Okay, I kind of remember that ladybug, actually. I remember her. James and the Giant Peach. Okay. So I got the spider, that centipede, the city boy centipede, grasshopper. Where is that other one? I don't know. What's the other one?
He's an earthworm.
I thought that the old lady was a worm.
No, there's two worms. There's a glowworm and then there's an earthworm.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, I actually think I do remember this earthworm. Okay.
Yeah, because he's kind of like...
that was a little segment.
No, yeah, like that. Yeah, the earthworm's like kind of paranoid, you know, like kind of like a coward.
Okay, I kind of that kind of rings a bell, actually. Yeah, it's been a really long time since I've seen it. I watched it all the time as a kid. And I remember some like really specific things, like some very specific shots, and I remember the ending where it's like a giant, like the ending's like mainly live action, like, and it's in the city. And
yeah, no, it's fun. Like, I don't know why, but like I get at work, for whatever reason, I started thinking about like the scene where they're in the, you know, when they're in the city, and I was like, why am I thinking about this? Like, no, yeah, so that's a good one. I don't know if Coraline was like true stop motion. I know it was like supposed to be.
Oh, really?
You know, I'm not 100% sure if it was or not, you know? Like, I just kind of assumed it was CG, but done in stop motion stuff. Because I know what was that, Paranorman? That was supposed to be stop motion, but that was CG.
Oh, that one was CG. I'm looking up Coraline right now. I watched Coraline last year, and I actually really liked it. I was into it.
Yeah, I love Coraline.
Yeah, I really like it. It's really creepy. It has a lot of personality to it.
Yeah, for sure.
I actually recommended it to Zach on our Duckcast, but he did not care for it.
Yeah, it's a little weird sometimes. It's a little creepy.
Yeah, I definitely was a fan, though. I liked it. I don't know if it's something I'm really rushing to watch again, but I did enjoy it a lot. I like the cat a lot.
Yeah, there was some really neat stuff. The cat was hilarious. It was just funny because around the same time, like not too long after Coraline, like my mom bought Coraline on DVD because she really liked it, and I really, you know, most of us in my household really liked it. So we had it, but then my parents started watching the show Deadwood. They got the box set from it. And have you seen Deadwood?
Deadwood, no, I haven't seen Deadwood.
Okay, really good show. It was a canceled HBO show, like from the early 2000s. It's a historical fiction about the building of this town, Deadwood, Montana. And in the show, there's it's one of those. It's really fun to watch, but it's like a horrible show. Like, you know, it's the Wild West, so people are getting gunned down. There's all kinds of, you know, like there's all kinds of westerny things happening, you know?
Yeah.
And one of the guys he runs a brothel in the show, and he's basically like the chief dude of like being up to no good. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, wow, his voice sounds really familiar. And my mom's like, yeah, that's Ian McShane. He voices the cat in Coraline. And I was just like, what the hell?
Oh. Yeah, so, no. Yeah, I've never seen that show, but that sounds interesting. Yeah, I think Zach said he heard the cat somewhere, that voice of the cat somewhere else too. I don't know. I was just, I just really liked it. I also like it's to me, like, often when they do, like, kids getting into fights with their parents in movies, sometimes it's like really corny or really rushed. It's done in a way where it's like, like the outburst isn't really necessary. Like Coraline's parents, they're not like terrible people,
Yeah.
but they are very moody and hard to get along with.
No, exactly. Because I think the big thing is, like, because, like, in a lot of, like, other movies with kids, you just are kind of sitting there like, okay, you're just being a selfish little shit right now, or like
Yeah.
what. But with Coraline's parents, you can kind of see it because it's these two overworked people. And
Yeah.
so you can see where she's feeling the way she's feeling, and so it makes sense,
Yeah, that's one thing I really liked about it, because you can almost, like, it just felt a lot more justified. A lot of the time it's like, yeah, you want to get to this reaction with the kids and the parent if you're going to do something like that with a kid, like
Yeah.
snapping or getting angry at them. But a lot of the time it just feels like it's an overreaction, and it's an overreaction for the sake of moving the story forward.
Yeah.
And this one, I just felt like it was like legitimately uncomfortable listening to her talk to her parents at points in the movie, because they just, like, clearly by the end, like, clearly that they care about their kid. They're not terrible people, but they're just like, it's just like, it's just not pleasant talking to them. It's not pleasant being in the same room with them. The dad is like just kind of always dead, has no energy, and the mom is like almost like mean-spirited, but
Oh, yeah.
not out of hatred, just out of, like you said, being overworked, and trying to take care of her daughter and doing all this stuff for her. And yeah, I just thought it was like, when she sees like the other option, I don't know, you almost kind of understand.
No, exactly. I think the thing that was so smart about that also is, like, because it's funny because, yeah, you can actually, and then, like, when you're watching the movie, you can see the parents' personalities, and it's funny because, yeah, you just kind of learn, like, the mom, she is just that kind of, like, she's kind of snarky, like, when she's not overworked and stuff anyway. So, yeah. It's like, and then, yeah, and the dad, he's just kind of a goofball, but it's one of those things of, like, so it is really funny, and you can see where, and you definitely, yeah, like you said, you see where the other world is appealing.
Yeah.
And, like, I think the thing, there's just, like, some really interesting stuff that also just, like, happens, like, with the animation in the other world, like.
Yeah, no, it's, like, it's incredible artwork. Like, even if you can't get into the story, I just think it's so nice to look at.
Yeah, like, I think, like, some of the coolest scenes are, like, when, toward the climax, when the world starts falling apart, and then, or,
Yeah.
like, I'm still trying to figure out how the hell they did the other spoilers, but the other mother's needle hands.
Yeah, the other mother, that was like excellent monster design.
Yeah, right? Like, she is one of my favorites. Actually, a friend of mine just told me someone has made, I don't know, I'm going to have to find it, but someone has made or is working on making a prop hand that's like the other mother's needle hands,
Yeah.
Like, so it's like an actual, like, hand-sized needle hand.
Oh, jeez.
And
for like a costume.
I don't know. I don't know why they're making it, but I want to know.
Could there be some more sinister things at hand here?
Right, I don't know.
Go up to your friend, say, hey, buddy, why are you making that?
what you doing?
Why are you doing this?
No, yeah, but no, there's there's also actually another cool thing about Coraline, because, like, I didn't know there was, like, any real, like, stuff for it, But apparently, actually, I was at work. I found because I work for, it's like I work for a big evil corporation now. And there I found a Coraline prop, like, of the doll. Like the little button-eyed doll of Coraline. And so, yeah, apparently some company is making those and, selling those. So I think that was really cool.
So, yeah, no, that's awesome. Like something that they actually used in the movie, or...
I don't think it's something they used in the movie, just like a replica of what that would be like if it was in our world, because she's made of, like... She's, like, the right size, and she's made of, like, actual, like, that, like, felt and yarn, and she's got the little button eyes and stuff, and
Yeah, but because of like the textures in the movie, it looks identical to what's in the movie.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Textures and all.
Yeah, like the texture.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I was gonna say about the villain, what I like about her so much is like me and a friend of mine were even having like he was kind of talking about this, and I said a few things about it too. It's just like with like the reveal of the new Joker trailer, he's saying that he kind of misses times where we could have villains that didn't have big deep backstories, and I like when people do that. Sometimes I like having a villain that you can sympathize with, but I do agree that it can be fun to just have a villain that's just evil for the sake of being evil, and that's absolutely what Other Mom is. She's just like this fucked up being that wants to. What the fuck does she want to do to Coraline?
She basically wants
like
to.
So was she gonna fucking take her eyes out and sew like buttons onto her eyes?
Well, apparently she's going to sew the buttons onto her eyes, which basically keeps Coraline trapped there, so that she can essentially. I don't know if it's like I think it's like I'm assuming it's something equal to like consuming her life force, as I say, basically she's going to slowly suck out Coraline's soul is I think what I'm taking away from it.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, I like it. Like I like comparing stuff. Like I like those fucking villains with just insane nonsense plans. With just some crazy motivation. I guess she's doing that, like, what? Because it helps her live longer? Is it like a Tangled situation?
Yeah, it's not like Tangled where it's like extending her life force. It's what she eats. She doesn't she's more like it.
Okay.
She's more like Pennywise.
Got it.
Like
okay.
Yeah, unlike although she can wait way longer in between eating than Pennywise can.
I was just gonna say, like, I've been watching these other movies. You got like a Dark Knight Joker, tormented and abused as a kid. That's how he became the way he is. I fucking watched the Steven Universe movie recently. Abandoned for 6,000 years. That's the reason I'm the way I am. And then fucking and then you just have characters like Other Mom. It's like, I'm going to sew buttons onto your eyes and eat you.
Yeah, I'm just here. I just want to eat your soul. No, it's delicious. No, but yeah, no, it's like, no, I totally feel what you are talking about. Like, cause yeah, like, no, we are kind of in an age where we get a lot more sympathetic villains because now it's not just enough to be like, okay, here's your bad guy. Now people are like, well, why are they bad? Or why are they doing this? Which I understand, but there is something so fun
it's
about
good sometimes.
Yeah. About having that pure evil. I am also, for the record, I am not a big fan of the whole, like, oh, Joker was abused as a child backstory. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the comics, where he literally says, if I'm going to hit one of my favorite quotes from the Joker, it's from the book, The Killing Joke, and he says, if I'm going to have a backstory, I want it to be multiple choice.
Yeah, I like that line too, actually. I never read the book, but I have seen the movie.
Yes, that's right.
And a lot of the movie sucks, but there are some really great moments.
Oh, no, yeah.
Most of the problems with the movie was their attempts at extending it, though.
No, exactly. No, that's because, like, if they just didn't do the extension, it would have been, like, because it was pretty much a beat by beat for the book, and it was done very well. So it was really a shame they dragged it down with all that other crap. Because Chris and I were talking about it at the end of usually at the end of Killing Joke books, they'll tack on an extra story. And it's a very good story. It's called The Man Who Killed Batman. And it's just this story about this average Joe who he wants to be the man who kills Batman. And he explains it in such a matter-of-fact way that it's, like, really spooky. But it's such a good story. And so we were like, okay, if you just did The Killing Joke as is and then did this short about this dude who wants to kill Batman, that would have been fine,
Yeah.
Or
honestly, that could have been... I think I would have preferred that. That sounds a lot more interesting than the Batgirl story,
Well, yeah.
I don't...
That was weird.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that was odd.
It was just so
to me.
uncomfortable.
Like, Bruce Wayne has sex with Gordon's daughter.
Yeah,
it's weird.
No, well, because here's the thing that would have been more compelling is if they made the first 30 minutes of the movie establishing, like, what a pillar of society, like, Commissioner Gordon was, or, like, how he and Batman have this relationship where, you know, Gordon upholds the law to the fullest, because then you would see where Joker goes, hey, that guy, I'm gonna break his mind, you know?
Yeah.
So it would have made so much, like, better sense.
I get them wanting to give you know, Batgirl more personality, considering she's the one who gets shot at the beginning of The Killing Joke.
Yeah.
But
that's a whole...
It's just, like, what they did with it was... I like the animation.
Oh, yeah, no.
But it's like everything else about it, it's just like, yeah, everyone warned me about it. Literally everyone said, oh yeah, like the first 30 minutes have nothing to do with the rest of the movie and aren't good. And I believed you, and then you were right. But
I was gonna say, I'm gonna tell you right now, I got there's like a whole other episode if you want, like, right there about just that, you know, like that 30 minutes. But
well, maybe when it's me, you, and Chris, we could do a Batman episode. Though Tim is gonna hate me for not including him. But sorry, Tim.
No, sorry, Tim. But no, I don't know. Yeah, maybe because there's a whole, like, comic debate and, like, a whole modern debate about feminism, and then the whole thing about just Batman. It's just it's so much.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know about all of that. I'm sure, like, just like anything that's popular, there's always going to be politics brought into it and stuff like that. But it's just, I know in terms of making an entertaining movie, the first 30 minutes of The Killing Joke, I don't really know I think I know what their intent was. I don't really understand. I don't really feel like they pulled it off well. I think the intent was, okay, this is a story about this character getting shot. Let's make this character more well-known. So you feel... I think it was just to, like, the intent seems like make you feel something for the character, since their whole part in the story is they get shot. So make it so you care that this character gets shot. But they did not pull it off.
No, they did not. And it's actually, I'm really glad that you, like, say that, because for me, all I've been thinking has just been, like, you know, I did not have that perspective at all. So this is really, really good for me, you know, because no, yeah.
Well, what do you think they were trying to do?
Honestly, I think, like, here's the thing. I think you do have a point. They were trying to make a reason for Batgirl to be there and for her to be important. But I would buy. But to me, it wasn't that they were trying to make the audience care. They were trying to make this. I think they tried to make her seem more like, they were, in a weird way, they were trying to empower her, but in, like, the most ass backwards way.
So you think they, like, wanted to show her being strong just so they didn't have a movie that opened with, like, a woman getting shot?
Yeah, I think that was what was up. Because if they wanted us to get to know her and get to care about her, they did a crap job at it, because it was just about her being horny for Batman. And it's like...
Yeah.
It's just like...
Yeah, I like I said, I don't think they pulled it off well.
No, yeah, and it's like, and I know there's also a chunk of it that is because one of the guys who worked on it, he worked on the animated series, had a huge thing for Batgirl and wanted her and Batman to have a thing. And he finally got it because he helped write the movie, or at least that 30 minutes. So...
Reminds me of a man. I'm not going to elaborate if you've never heard of this guy. Okay. I'll just let a random listener know what I'm talking about. Probably there won't be anyone know who I'm talking about. Have you ever heard of Ken Penders or Ken Panders?
That sounds
Ken Penders.
Super familiar, but it also sounds like a pun, so I'm not sure.
He is he worked on a comic book, and something that you said about that one artist reminded me of him. That's all I'll say.
Well, no, yeah, I was going to say there's another case of that, which is if you've ever heard of Marv Wolfman. That's another famous case, but that's like
no.
a whole other can of worms. So
we'll have to do a discussion about this. I feel like that'd be a great discussion for you and Chris.
I think we
didn't
are.
pick what we're gonna do. I think that'd be a good discussion. I'm not like a comic book expert, but I'll have commentary on what you guys are saying. That we'll think of something. We'll think of a good starting point and just let the conversation go from there. Anyways, yeah. One more thing I was gonna say, like just to finish like the villain discussion, then we'll get back to stop motion.
Absolutely.
This is DeRailed podcast, by the way. It's like perfectly acceptable to go off the topic for like a huge portion of time.
I was hoping so. Yeah, I know. I think with a name like DeRailed, you know.
Yeah, that's the whole point of it, because me and my friend Gage named it that just because we were incapable of staying on a single topic properly. So we're just like, yeah, let's just embrace it.
You guys,
just
fucking embrace it. That's fucking brilliant.
We have a we had the fucking episode we did on I did on Mary and Max. I don't get to Mary and Max until like 30 minutes in the episode. Okay, I was gonna say this. This is kind of a steal from another podcast called The Dunk Tank with Video Game Donkey and a few other people.
Okay.
Because this is something that he referenced. Someone on their show referenced. I just want to point this out because it's going to totally sound like I'm stealing if someone else saw that. But to be fair, I shared this fucking picture around for years.
Okay.
My favorite summary of like a villain with a big tragic backstory that made that way, and just a dumb fun villain is there's this one panel, this one page of a Spider-Man comic that I have no context to the rest of it, and it's some guy, the villain of that comic is going around and turning people into dinosaurs.
Yes, Dinosaur Man.
And Spider-Man on this page says, you have this technology that gives you the ability to cure cancer. Instead, you're going around and turning people into dinosaurs. And the villain responds saying, but I don't want to cure cancer. I want to turn people into dinosaurs.
Yes. Oh my god, yes. No, I know.
That guy should be the face of a stupid, dumb, fun villain that I want.
He is. No, he is everything. I actually get really excited whenever characters like Dinosaur Man show up. But it's just that quote that everyone beats to death from it's actually from The Dark Knight. It's Alfred goes, "Some men just want to watch the world burn."
Yeah.
That's Dinosaur Man. But instead he just wants people to be dinosaurs.
Yeah, he wants to see the world turn into dinosaurs and then burn.
Yep.
That's hilarious. So bringing it back to stop motion.
Sounds good.
Let me look at my notes because I have a bunch. Like I said, I talked about Mary and Max. You've talked about it. You saw that movie on Netflix a few years ago. You said, right?
Yeah, way back when I feel like it was way back when Netflix really started getting popular. It was I think it was it was before they were doing Netflix original series for sure. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. At the time, my brother was super into stop motion. Actually, he actually did a couple stop motions on his own for YouTube. They're super duper short. The one I'll have to send it to you, but it kills me. It's just called Edgar. It's literally 6 seconds long, and it's this little dude in a striped shirt walking across a thing, and my brother made Edgar out of pieces of paper and put him on a tracing board and was taking pictures of him and then poking him with a toothpick into place and then to take a new picture to stop motion this little dude. But yeah, so it's he was super into stop motion, so I don't know how, but he stumbled across Mary and Max, and he was watching it on Netflix, and I just ended up watching it, and it's really such a good movie. It's because it's such a sweet, touching, very story, but it's wrapped up in so much realism. You know what I mean?
For sure, it is not a movie that holds back at all. I feel like out of every animated movie I've ever seen in my life, this one is tied with Anomalisa for having the most balls.
Yeah, it's one of those things of you sit there and it starts off, you're just oh, what a cute little movie. And then by the time you're halfway through, you're oh, Jesus Christ, you know?
Yeah, no, and it has a really upsetting ending that's so bittersweet, but I would almost say more, even though it kind of ends on a positive note, I feel like the bitterness of it is like so strong. I would actually call it more bitter than sweet. Like it's,
Yeah.
you know, I don't want to say what it is because I don't want to. We've spoiled a couple of the movies. I don't want to spoil every single one of them. But if anyone's seen it, they know what I'm talking about. The ending isn't really. I mean, it's a happy ending in the sense of it's a very honest movie, and it's just showing you that this is another part of life, and the characters were still happy throughout a lot of the film. But it's such a downer.
No,
It's such a downer
exactly.
ending.
There's no better way to put it. Is it's you do not watch Mary and Max if you want to be happy for the rest of your day. Like,
I really love it though, and I love how like a lot of the format of this movie is just two people sending notes back and forth to each other, and both like reading like their letters back and forth. Like it's so convincing. It's such a convincing dialogue they send back and forth.
it is.
But they don't just like make it. They put so much effort into the animation too, because there's always a visual representation of what they're talking about.
No, there always
Like, you know,
is.
he talks about if you throw cigarette butts on the ground, they'll make it into the ocean, and fish will get like an addiction to nicotine, and it shows the fish fucking smoking a cigarette and all that. It's great. It's great.
It is. Yeah, I also another thing I'm a big fan of for that one is I love like the selective use of color, like, you know, because it's mostly in like black and white or like super washed out like sepia tones.
Yep.
But it's like every once I think the selective color they'll use is red. You'll see pops of red, and it's so like it's just so nice, you know.
Yeah. It's a little different on Mary's side than it is on Max's side. Like the color palettes are just slightly different.
But it's just and it's really good, and I think the thing I really love about it is not everything is like smooth and pretty. Everything, you know, like so everything is rough and like bumpy or lumpy, and it just is in that sense. It's also kind of got that realism, you know.
It does, and it also is a movie about like accepting. Like it's a big speech at the end of it with Max accepting our cracks. Like a sidewalk, like we both have a sidewalk with a different path that has a lot of cracks on them. Some are worse than others.
Yep. So, but it's really, you know, and it's one of those things that like, and that's just like makes it seem like so much. It's this movie's like it's very genuine, I guess, is a way.
Yeah.
You know, because it's.
Oh yeah, very.
Yeah, so I guess for some people that's a little much, I think.
Yeah, I don't think like it's not gonna mess with you or ruin you if you see it.
It really
like,
is
it's
not.
Gonna be kind of a downer by the end of it, but I feel like I do think that like as a whole, when you look back on the movie, it's like a way more positive message than you may realize. It's just the ending such a downer that I feel like you'll feel a little sad after watching it.
Yeah.
But what you get out of it as a whole, I actually do think is a very hopeful message and a good one. And it's like a very positive one too.
Oh yeah, I definitely will never not recommend Mary and Max, you know.
Oh yeah, I think like I think it's excellent. I don't even think that you really need to be that old to see it. Like I wouldn't show it to a 10-year-old, but I would say like 13, maybe 14 and up, you're good to see it.
Oh yeah,
like,
absolutely.
It's not like the most fucked up thing or anything. It's just like it's very honest. It's very real with you.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't hold back. There are a lot of things it cover. I do think this is like a weird topic to talk about, but I won't go into it too much, but I do actually really like how they dealt with autism in the movie. And you have Mary try to talk about like finding the cure to autism.
Yeah.
And I think they have a very good way of responding to that, because there are people I've met with like, I don't know, like similar mindsets to that, and they're not trying to be assholes. They're not trying to be bad people when they say that.
No, yeah, they're not.
And obviously, this is a period piece. Like, this is a time period. So it's like, it was a lot worse then than it is now. Now it's a lot more accepted. But there are different ways of looking at it. And I think the movie had a really good way to look at it.
No, absolutely. I think, like, it was, I think it was, this movie is, like, I think one of the best ways it's one of the, like, the most, like, I think unfortunately it's one of the few examples we have of autism in our media, like our movies at least.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also one of the most honest portrayals of it, and it's also really, it's a good portrayal. Like it's not sugarcoating it. It's not like, and it's not portraying it. It's portraying it in a very normalized way,
Yeah, for sure.
So I think it's really good for that. But yeah, and it's also in the movie you see where Mary, you see her mindset, but you see, and then when you see Max's reaction and her reaction to Max, it all like, you're like kind of, it makes a lot of sense, and it's a very honest, very human way to like react to it,
Absolutely. Definitely check that one out. That honestly, out of it, every movie we're talking about today, that is my favorite stop motion movie. Anomalisa is very high up there. Have you ever seen Anomalisa?
Yeah, unfortunately, no, I haven't.
I really like that one too. It's definitely a high recommendation for me as well. It's a very, very strange, very strange movie. It has a very, very meaningful message to it, though. It's definitely high up there. I think Mary and Max has just so much more character to it. Like Anomalisa is a very unique movie in its own sense, and I really love the meaning behind it. It's probably more of a downer than Mary and Max.
Okay.
But because I would actually even say like Mary and Max is a positive message, and I'm not sure if I could say that about Anomalisa, but it's Anomalisa has a very real message, the one that makes you think about yourself. But
oh boy,
Mary and Max is my favorite just because it just has so much personality to it. Like just with like other characters in the movie too, like the design of the mother, that one guy who's afraid to leave his house.
Yeah, I love him. He was a fun character to have. Even the design of like that one, I forgot his name. I want to call him Dave. But he's like, he was Mary's husband in it.
Yeah. I do know. I liked him too.
Yeah, he's funny.
He had like an interesting last name.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was. But anyway, but whatever. It's no, but I'll have to check out Anomalisa because I have not heard really anything about it.
It's directed by Charlie Kaufman, who made Synecdoche, New York, and he also wrote a bunch of movies as well. I don't know if you ever heard of like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yes, I have heard of that one.
And Being John Malkovich adaptation.
Okay.
He's done a good bit. But yeah, I'd really recommend that one. It's not as funny, not as charming as Mary and Max, but it's very good in its own right.
All right.
And the only other stop motion thing I wanted to talk about, and if you haven't seen it, then there isn't much to say. Have you ever seen it's actually a TV show called Moral Oral?
Moral Oral, I have not seen it, but I've seen little bits about it. I've seen some of the stuff for it. From what I understand, like it's a very interesting show, though, from what I have heard about it, because I like how it starts off just like being like, you think it's going to be like this happy little thing. And then quickly you see the cracks in the facade, is from what I understand. Yeah,
Moral Oral. You definitely have an understanding of what the show is then. It's I won't say too much about it. I would like my whole thing with it is I definitely would say like season 1 is just kind of mainly each episode's own thing, has like a formula to it as well. The second season starts to break that formula. And then by like the finale of the second season, it changes in a way that it like does not come back from. Like season 3 is very different, and high recommendation. It's on Hulu. I watched it within a few days. It's not a very long watch. There's, I think like 30 or 40 something episodes, and they're all 11 minutes, and it's pretty easy to get through. They didn't get to make all the episodes they wanted, unfortunately, but they got to make a decent amount.
No, actually, it was funny when there's a chain of these stores that sell like they sell like DVDs and like all like comics. They sell all kinds of like junk like that, and they're going out of business, so they have everything on sale. And Chris actually was looking at buying a DVD set of Moral Oral.
Yeah, I think you should go for it.
When we were looking, because they found one.
Definitely.
But it was, but I don't remember why we didn't get it. I think maybe at the time the sale wasn't that high, so maybe it was we were waiting for it to go down and then it was gone the next time, something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah, really good show. So yeah, that's about everything I wanted to talk about. There's a few other stop motion movies I saw, like Life Aquatic doesn't. Life Aquatic is one of Wes Anderson's older movies. Not fully stop motion, but there's stop motion bits in it that I think are cool. There's My Life as Zucchini, and it's cute, but it's not really a high recommendation for me. It's fine. The Lego Movie, kind of, that's like Coraline or like Paranorman, not really one. And yeah, that's about everything. Is there any other movies that you wanted to talk about?
I'm trying to think, because I know there's like, because it's funny, when you approached me about doing the podcast on stop motion, I was like, oh yeah, I've seen a few stop motion like things, and then like I walked away from like that conversation with you, and I went, what am I talking about? I've seen like so many, you know?
Yeah.
You just don't like think about it because they just kind of get thrown in there as time goes on. I just think it's like, I think just stop motion. Let me see. I try to think of like one like specifically. This is just kind of funny. This is just like an interesting like little thing about when YouTube got started. I think like the first like YouTube like channel or like series my brother and I got invested was a Lego stop motion channel.
I remember those. There was a lot of those.
Yeah, did you ever hear of Blood T-3000?
No, I don't. I'm familiar with them existing. I actually didn't watch too many of them.
Yeah, he had at the time he had a whole series of them, and I just remember me and my brother loved them. And then, actually, I'm pretty sure the first video I ever saw on YouTube was a Lego stop motion animation of little Lego people singing the beer song. It's just like, so yeah, when like, I guess like subconsciously then, like when the Lego movie came out, I was like, this is awesome, you know? Like,
yeah.
But this is going to drive me crazy. Oh, that's what I was going to ask you about. I guess, because I'm pretty sure these are stop motion. The Random House, like, you know, like the Rudolph, like, you know, like Rudolph and all of those. Did you like watch those? Because like Chris never watched them growing up. So did you like see those?
Yeah, every Christmas I would watch those. I've like mixed feelings on those. I liked a lot of them as a kid.
Yeah, the Rankin Bass, that's what they were.
Like you're talking about, like there was Rudolph, Frosty. There was even a crossover one between them. There was Miser Brothers.
No, yeah,
like
there
those.
was that was. Yeah, there was those, and then there was like, because those were like those were weird. Those were like another series of them, and then there was also like there was the original Rudolph. There was the Santa Claus is Coming to Town, the Little Drummer Boy, like,
yeah.
And then they did for Easter they did Peter Cottontail.
I saw all of those except for the Peter Cottontail one. I think that is the only one I never saw. I saw Jack Frost. I saw the Frosty one, and there was the crossover. There was the New Year's one. I saw so many of those. We almost went this entire thing without talking about that. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. No, yeah,
I saw all of those, and I mean, I rewatched them. It's been a good while, but I had younger sisters too, so I did end up rewatching them when I was older. I don't know if I've seen them even in the last 4 years, but like, I don't know, like there's like a charm to them still for sure. It's definitely something I liked more as a child, but I did enjoy those a lot as a kid for sure.
No, yeah, actually it was funny because now that I'm an adult, I actually love rewatching Rudolph especially more. Mm-hmm. My brother too, because the movie Rudolph is so incredibly mean-spirited.
Yeah, isn't it? Like, I mean, I know the whole premise of the story is like everyone, like, you know, they make fun of him because his nose is red and they don't think that he'll amount to be anything. Like, the story itself is kind of messed up, but the movie, wasn't the dad like a real dickhead?
Yeah, he is. It's so funny because, yeah, like, he like basically treats it like, so that like, you know, he's like, you're going to be a normal little buck and stuff. And then at the end, he's like, I knew he'd do something. I knew he'd do this. I knew it all along. And then the mom, she has this look on her face. Like, I don't think they mean it, like, to have given it to her. But my mom always would pipe in and go, like, oh, yeah, whatever, dear. Like, like.
The mom's just like, okay, we're getting a divorce. Fuck you.
She just has this look on her face, like, you're so full of shit. And it's the funniest thing.
Yeah, there's that abominable snowman from, I think, the first, that's from the first Rudolph, right? Isn't that like something that a lot of people are terrified of?
Absolutely.
I can't remember. The thing is, I don't think, even though I rewatched them when I got older, I don't think I ever saw that scene again. Like, I think I would be out of the room when that one was playing. I don't remember that. I don't remember it freaking me out. I don't remember anything about it, but apparently everyone is terrified of it. And I'm not saying I wasn't terrified of it when I was a kid. I don't remember it. Everyone just tells me about that scene. I can't even picture it.
Well, it's the thing that's so funny about the Abominable Snowman is for you spend so long, like a good like chunk of the beginning part of the movie, you don't see him. So they really like build him up. Mm-hmm. So then when you finally get to see him, I mean, granted, like, okay, when you just like, when you like see, like, if you just see him out of context, he's just the goofiest thing,
Yeah.
But, like, because in the movie he's this big abominable snowman, and he's got a huge mouth of sharp teeth for, like,
Yeah, would you say
What?
It freaked you out as a kid?
Oh, yeah, I was absolutely afraid of the abominable snowman as a kid.
Yeah, it's a popular answer for, like, childhood trauma and that stuff. Like, you talk about stuff that scared you as a kid.
I would definitely not classify it as, like, a childhood trauma, because I had more than enough of those.
Yeah.
But I would not have... I think I got over the abominable snowman super fast, if I remember right.
I don't know if I had any, like, stop motion. I was actually something I was gonna bring up earlier and forgot about, like, just the uncanniness of stop motion. Like, I feel like even, like, the really good stop motion movies, like, I love it. It's an art form that has really grown on me over the years. But I think even the best ones have, like, some level of uncanniness to it. It's like, it feels like every single stop motion movie always has, like, a character that's supposed to be scary in it. Even Isle of Dogs has this, like, really creepy, The Wall looking character in it.
No, yeah, I definitely think it's just something about, I don't know if it's like just the texture of the clay or like the fact that like you can get away with like making such unusual like shapes and stuff, and like a lot of stop motion is really stylized. So I don't know if that's why. But yeah, a lot of them do kind of
movement. It might just be movement, because even if you're a really, really, really talented animator, the movement's never going to look 100% natural.
No, yeah, because as you were like saying that for whatever, I was thinking of in The Corpse Bride.
Yeah.
Because whenever she's like moving, it's incredibly fluid, but at the same time, it's not. There's something off, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think like stuff like, like Mary and Max and Isle of Dogs and a lot of the stuff we've talked about has like really outstanding animation. I can't say all of it's uncanny. Like, I don't think Moral Oral's uncanny at all, but it's like really, really extreme with its animation. Like, it just makes everything move like in a really wacky manner, so it's like unnatural in a different way. Unnatural would be the best way to describe it, though. Like, it never, as I feel like the most natural I've ever seen a stop motion movie is Anomalisa. That is the closest I've seen to it capturing movement almost perfectly, but it's still slightly off, and because of how realistic it is, it's almost like more uncanny because it's just like a slight difference instead of being like really over the top with it, like a lot of Tim Burton movies where it is really smooth, but more of like it's more embracing itself as a cartoon.
No, I think you're right. I think also like another big part of it is because a lot of them don't hide the textures or like have really strange textures.
Yeah, that's true too. Actually, that is a really good point, especially the old Christmas ones we were talking about a second ago.
Yeah, well, because those are like, we all know like those are definitely like models. Those are not, or like they're definitely dolls or models. They're not you know.
For sure.
No, yeah. I think like the best example of like uncanny movement in like those is probably with the Abominable Snowman when he's trying during one of the climax when he's trying to eat Clarice, you know.
Yeah.
It's just because like she's squirming in his hand and it looks so weird, you know.
Yeah, those especially whenever they were trying to be scary, I imagine the movement was a little rough.
Well, it's because it's like a little spastic, so it's like,
Yeah.
you know. I think it
Yeah.
kind of triggers that like that fear response, like when we see a spider or something skitter across the floor. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, just it's something that just I think our brains work in a way where if we just see something that's like off, just slightly off. It's like if you look across a room from a distance and see someone smile at you. Like it's just like there's not really anything threatening there, but that's not normal. Like if you look across a room, you don't and someone's there, you don't expect them to be looking directly at you, I guess, you know.
oh yeah, exactly. So then your brain goes, something's wrong, you know.
Something's wrong. What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
Anything else? Anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, you know, I'm trying to think because like no, I just like wanted to point out like stop motion just like also gets like I like how it gets thrown into like a bunch of stuff like even if it's not like a huge part of it. Like for example, like this like that whole instance in like Michael Jackson's like I think it was the Moonwalker movie where he just has that stop motion jackrabbit thing. Yeah, that was freaky. But it was really kind of cool.
Yeah.
There's just like some really cool stuff. There's just people do really cool stuff with stop motion, and especially for how long it takes to make. You know,
there are some really cool things that you can incorporate into stop motion for sure. I really like I mentioned Life Aquatic before. They often show like some sea life in that movie that would have been completely animated using stop motion. And that was again Wes Anderson, who went off to do Fantastic Mr. Fox and Isle of Dogs, and that was just like almost a little bit of a prototype right there of him just experimenting with stop motion. It's something cool that you can do. You can blend live action and stop motion together, or stop motion into like I'm pretty sure like that. I never really watched Gumball on Cartoon Network, but I know that it's like a show that incorporated a lot of animation styles. So I'm assuming that they did claymation somewhere in there.
I think there is a character that relies like on like that stop motion type thing. I just can't put my finger on which character it is. I don't remember, but I'm like I think it's Larry, the convenience store guy, but I'm not sure. Because it's been a minute.
I think Courage did it once too, and it was like super uncanny. It was super terrifying.
Yes.
It was like some little girl screaming.
I am positive that Courage the Cowardly Dog hasn't done it because Courage goes for everything uncanny, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
No, I was going to say, we all know what Courage did with computer animation. I'm sure they did something with stop motion.
Oh yeah, them and their fucking CGI thing. Yeah, that's lovely.
Oh yeah, and then also like King Ramses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh god.
Well, anyway, this was a great chat. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I had a great time.
Yeah. So somewhere in the near future, this is all gonna come full circle, and it's gonna be
all
me,
right.
Chris, and Olivia. But yeah, like I'm looking forward to that. I think we'll do something with like something comic book related. I liked where that one conversation was going. That was a preview.
Yeah, that was it. That was.
And I'll just hand that episode over to Chris and Olivia and like just ask questions and make comments on certain things because I think that'll be fun. But Olivia, is there anything that you want to plug at the end?
You know what, guy? Thank you. Actually, I was just gonna say, thanks. If you listen this far, thanks for listening to the DeRailed podcast as always. And if you guys wouldn't mind, come on over to our channel, Stupid Smash Bros. We're preparing some. We're gonna be getting back into the podcast game ourselves.
Nice.
I know and then I know Chris is gonna be doing some new episodes of his show. I've got some new junk coming up, and then and we're gonna be doing another collaborative show between me and him. If you're interested in like old junk, then come on over and check that out. So Yeah, thank you.
Sounds great. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Thanks again for coming on. It was a lot of fun, and that'll be the end of this episode. Thanks for listening, everyone. See you later.
Bye-bye.